can see the hate, I can see the lies. See it in your face, read it out your eyes. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me. They want it, wanna get it. They losing while I'm winning. These the rules of the game you playing. In your eyes I can see you hating. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me.
Are they watching? I see them. They hate cause it just can't be him. But don't fly like a desert eagle, so don't give me that reason.
Hello guys, how you guys up to?
Good, mate, you?
I'm okay. Okay guys, this is the first episode that we're doing about this podcast, and today we have here Declan with us. As we said, a pretty interesting guy. How old are you, Declan? 20, 21?
20.
20, fucking hell.
Yeah. I stole the youngest PT mantle from Liam there.
I know. Got it away.
Liam was the youngest and you stole that from him.
Yeah.
Okay. So Declan, if you tell us, I told everyone in the last podcast that we did that you are a coach as well. So if you could run that by us for a bit, so to explain, because you'll know that more in detail than I do.
Yeah, so coaching goes a little bit further than standard personal training. So it's not just about looking into physical health. It also starts to nitpick into how emotional and psychological health interact with the physical. And it talks about motivation and habits. And then it goes and links how physical health and emotional health complement each other, and how people who are emotionally healthy are more likely to produce effective positive behaviours like exercising and moving them into a better state of psychological health to reach that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's quite good, because I think a lot of personal trainers struggle to be able to connect emotionally with their clients and be able to actually understand their normal day-to-day lives as well. So I think that's actually a good thing to have.
Yeah.
So I came in, I only qualified about 6 months ago. I got certified 6 months ago. So I came into the industry with you guys with really fresh, eyes wide open. And it astonishes me how fewer people know about the psychological concepts of motivation and habits, and the interaction, especially with how the world of mental health is affecting society at the minute. Everywhere you see, it's always like talk, communicate, we're here for each other. But looking at it from the inside the box, there's not much there.
Yeah,
No,
true.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I think, do you guys, so Liam, you've been doing PT for a while now, and Declan, you started really well. You were killing it on the beginning, having so many clients. You did better than most of us when we did start. Do you think it's essential for a PT to have this type of knowledge so you can offer more results to your clients?
Yeah, I think, because I think I know I've done diets myself and I've trained myself, but that's kind of a normal thing for me because that's just what I love. So then when I put myself through the competing process, and it was a lot more than just standard diet and standard training, I was able to then see how much that actually affected me mentally and emotionally. And I think that's what helped me be able to connect more with most of my clients.
What do you think, Declan?
So there's, coming at it from a new perspective, I found that there's two ways of going about it, really. You can come in with just a standard personal training qualification and build on that with experience, which all of you will have over me. But there's a different way that I decided to come in at it with, get as much knowledge as I can and build on that knowledge with experience, because there's only so far experience can take you. If you don't, and you notice this with older personal trainers now, especially if you look on Instagram, they lack what they learned years ago because they've got into this habit of doing what they do. It's like if you guys tried to do your driving test now, would you pass it?
Probably not.
Oh
No.
I speed a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got into these weird habits. Yeah, and I think that's what I notice more than anything.
Yeah, true. So, and Declan, what you've been up to? I know you've released your podcast as well.
Yeah,
you're doing it by only audio now, isn't it? Like a monologue.
Yeah. Mindful monologue. I launched it kind of sporadically. I thought about doing it for a while, and I used an app called Anchor, and it's really good. I'll just go on there, click record, and it does it really quickly. So I haven't got to worry about anything. But apart from that, I've been sorting out stuff for uni, doing professional development, and trying not to nap 4 times a day.
Declan, what sort of stuff do you go into on your podcast? And also, I think you should name it as well, just for everyone listening.
The podcast is called The Mindful Monologue, and I wanted it to be about health, complete health. So we know that there's loads of different ways that people can be healthy. We delve into physical. I go a little bit further and do emotional. Further than that, you have social health, and that's how you interact with your friends and your colleagues. We have occupational health, which I covered today in mine, which is your job and your finances. We have intellectual, so going away and learning each day and trying to better yourself that. And finally, there's spiritual, which is like the overall happiness, basically. So my podcast tries to cover all of them.
Okay. And how's your handstand challenge?
I'm very, very close. I went to do the filming the other day, fell over, cracked my elbow. I was so close to screaming, but I held it in, and I was like, ah. But I'm getting close. It's just frustrating when I can't get it, and if I mess up on the video on a Tuesday, I kind of refuse to do it for a few hours, and then I have to go back, which is why it tends to get released later in the day, because it annoys me if I mess up on the first attempt. So, yeah, close.
So, since we're talking about emotional stuff today, tell me a bit. So, if you tell us how you've been feeling lately, and then I will say as well, and you can help us understand, and you will say how you've been feeling as well, and how you've been dealing with it. So, Liam, if you tell us why you've been dealing with this lockdown and whatever comes to your mind, just say it.
Yeah, so I think I touched up on it just before. At the beginning, it was really difficult. My sleeping pattern was just completely backwards. I wasn't really eating properly. I'd wake up midday, have food, and then I'd snack in the evening. There was no pattern, no routine or nothing like that. And I think mentally I was struggling quite a lot, having no gym and waiting on a couple of pieces of kit to arrive. And I felt like I didn't really have a purpose properly. I think now, I've been doing my gym. I've got the kit in there that is enough for me. And I've just built a lot more of a routine. So that's now made it easier. So I think for me now, I'm coping with it a lot better. What about you?
Oh, man. Like I said in the beginning, I thought it would be easy, but it started being really hard for me. I even shaved my hair.
I was going to do that.
That's joining the club.
I'm not going anywhere. Let me do a Declan.
That's it. Yeah, every week, every Friday on the dot.
And mate, I started just being irritated with the situation itself. I expected to do more stuff, and I start planning stuff that I should do, but then you don't have a time schedule that oh, I need to do this by then, and you just let everything go, and you just feel, oh, I don't. It was hard to cope with, and now with this thing that we're doing, actually, it brought a bit of excitement. I've been trying to learn how to edit videos on iMovie. Yesterday, I found out how to do a logo and not pay for it. And yeah, it's. I think having a purpose is really important. Just shows that how miserable you can be just by living by the day,
Yeah.
with nothing to do, and most importantly, I think we all forgot and forget is that how happy we were before. We just
Yeah.
want to have the things we had before. But I bet with you, before you would still moan about certain stuff. And now
Now
you're
you wish
like,
you.
and now like, oh, I just want things to go back to normal. But you were still miserable, probably in ways. You were still thinking of things that you should have or you should not have, and things that you wanted to change in your life. And now you just want what you had before. And
Yeah.
so, are we constantly unhappy with what we have? And this is a question that Declan, you might can help us realize that.
Okay, so the thing I've noticed more than anything about people's psychological health is the fact that they weren't necessarily happy before, but because they were in a routine where they were always busy, they were distracted. So instead of sitting and stewing all day long, they had something to keep their mind off of it. And now that they don't have that, there's a realization that people aren't necessarily happy, but they were distracted. And the fact that the whole life has been uprooted, like for us, like we were doing 50, 60 hours a week to doing nothing overnight, that is a complete uproot. And the brain likes routines. So as soon as you stop that routine in the brain, it's like a smoker. You can't stop smoking instantly. You have to wean yourself off of it. We didn't get that chance. And that's why people have really sort of gone crazy, especially in the first few weeks, like you said, where your whole life has been flipped upside down. That's why the brain didn't like it and you would have had such low moods.
So do you feel like you fit into that category as well? Because I feel like that reflects a little bit of me, with it all stopping, struggling at the beginning, and then slowly feeling a lot better as it's gone on. Is that how you feel, or are you more?
Yeah, definitely. The first few weeks, it was really weird because I'd got used to getting up at like 4 or 5 o'clock, going in for rowing, doing my whole day and not getting home till like 10. And then I started sleeping 4 times a day. And it's really weird, you know, and until I started my new diplomas, I had nothing to do, which was the complete opposite of having everything to do while I was working. So I don't think low moods come along, but I think the drastic lifestyle change just weirded me out. It stopped my brain from working for a few weeks, and then I slowly got back into a routine.
Going back to the beginning, where you mentioned that people now have to deal with a lot of things that were not dealing before, they were distracted. Do you think that a lot of us do this just by trying to be distracted and running away from certain issues? And when we are stuck at home, there's no running away from these monsters, and we are obliged now to deal with it and live with them and try to fix them.
Yeah, so if you look at lockdown, the new lockdown numbers, so Cornwall and the Isle of Sicily have just reported that suicide rates have nearly doubled or over doubled since lockdown started. Okay. And what tends to happen is like these ideas of anxiety and depression, symptomatic anxiety, so the anxiety you feel when you have an attack, tends to be down to faulty thought patterns. So you get inside your head, the voices take over, all the feelings overwhelm you, and suddenly you panic. your stress reflex cuts in and you, yeah. So when we're going about our normal day, especially us, because we're moving about a lot, the brain doesn't like to focus on the voices because it's got too much going on in the body. Okay. And especially for people that work, say you work in an office and you're on a computer all day, it's got something else to focus on. Okay. I'm not saying that it completely cures the troubles that they have, but it certainly removes a lot of the symptomatic causes or symptomatic consequences of that psychopathy, like anxiety and depression and things like that. Now, because we're in lockdown now and people haven't got anything to do, the voices have come back and are taking over. And this is what we're finding a lot, especially with people that I've spoke to recently. They're getting inside their own head again. And this is where it starts to go wrong. So people weren't necessarily happy before. They weren't in the best place, but they were distracted. They had something else to focus on. And now that they don't, it's got worse. Yeah. And this is what happens.
Yeah, I think I agree with that quite a lot, because I think everyone has something that they're anxious over. So for many people, it was probably money. It was probably, right, well, now I can't work. How am I going to pay my rent, my mortgage, my car, all these things, bills, all these things. I think there's some people, because there was that bodybuilder that committed suicide, wasn't there? And because he was so worried about losing what he's got and making no progress. And I think it affects everyone on so many different levels. And I think what you just said is just hit the nail on the head, to be fair.
Which bodybuilder?
I can't remember now.
He was American, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was on the news, yeah.
Yeah, so Arnold went to see his, you know, where they put all flowers up outside the gym and stuff like that. He went to it the other day.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm someone I never read or listen to news. I think they're very negative most of the time. And I think you need to deal with so many negative things in your life that if you just keep that apart, sometimes it's probably better. But
yeah. So Declan, for someone who is dealing with the anxiety side of just the general lockdown, someone who's worried about money, maybe not now because they might be getting the 8% or they might have got a grant, but coming out of lockdown, how would you approach that if they were to be your client or someone you knew?
It would depend on the case, because anxiety is a psychopathy. So unless you're a licensed medical professional, I couldn't tell someone how to deal with that anxiety. I can help them with symptomatic anxiety and I can tell them how I got over my own, but I can't physically say, go and do this. But I know that anxiety is about thought. It may have a physical underlie, that the cause of the anxiety might be physical, like something's gone wrong physically in the brain. But when it comes on, it is always about thought. So the first thing I would do is get them out of their own head. Now, this is called a state change, okay? So when people are really sort of starting to fester and overthinking a lot, the best thing you can do, get up and move. It doesn't matter how you move, just get up and move, okay? So when I did my yoga class, one of my words of the week was bolter. Now, bolter means to dance clumsily, stupidly, just move, right? No matter what it is. So the thing I always say to people is when they're overthinking, put your favourite song on and just go mental. And that is the best way that I have found to overturn symptomatic anxiety.
So you said I could say how I dealt with mine. So you had anxiety in the past?
Yeah, for a long time, anxiety, depression, everything like that. So I can't tell people how to go and solve their problem, but I can, as someone experienced, I can say, right, this is what I did personally. I'm not saying you should go and do it, but, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this is what I did. It might work for others. And that's the legal loophole to helping people when you haven't got a license to do so.
Do you feel
you do like meditation as well, don't you?
Yeah.
So I've never tried it. I mean, I see these apps about it. I think I've spoke to a couple of, I've spoke to you definitely about meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you actually think it works? Because I've never tried it. I know there's some people that are a bit iffy about it. Not done it like myself and think, because it's one of them, isn't it? You just think about it and go, really?
Yeah.
It's just one of them. So yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
So meditation's always been a weird one for people because the idea of it, the base idea of it, doesn't make much sense. People are trying to relax. Like, they're opposite ideas. You're physically trying to calm down. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that. When they try and start, they can't relax, and then they stop trying.
And then they get stressed because they cannot relax.
They can't relax.
I didn't give it up. I was like, screw this.
So meditation is really hard for a lot of people because it needs focus. You need to be able to focus on a mental device. So people use like mantras. So people will say relax over and over again for about 20 minutes. You know, like they used to do that. So that's mantric meditation. Focusing on your breath, that's a form of meditation. It's just a mental device for you to focus on. And when people can't focus for that long, they can't relax, and therefore meditation doesn't work. So the best workaround is to read. So physically having to scan across the page, understand the words, and remember them for the next sentence is the same attentional focus required to meditate. So if someone can't meditate, give them a book.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I don't know where I read this, but it's like, well, it's really hard for people to meditate because you are just trying to shut down your brain, and your brain does not shut down at any point. And then you try, I'm not going to think about anything. You close your eyes, you put yourself in the position, you say, I'm not going to think about anything. I'm not going to think about anything. And then you start thinking about something really silly that just crosses your mind. And then you go on that train of thought, and everything and you forget that you're not supposed to be thinking. And then you try to come back and you get upset. And I read on this book that your brain is like a monkey. It's never going to stay still. And for you to control him is giving him a task. It's like, with the monkey, you would give him a banana, and he would sit down and try to peel the banana. And it's giving, the only way to calm down is by giving small tasks to your brain. For example, I never had anxiety in my life. I'm a pretty chilled guy. I do overthink a lot, but it's because of seeing so many possibilities of a situation that can happen. But what I do whenever I'm in a situation that I cannot control, or I need to wait, and my brain start thinking about things that exaggerating, I start counting 3 and 3. So I start saying 3, 6, 9, and it goes on and on and on. So I'm giving a task to my brain to not be thinking of things that it should not be thinking. So, and I think that's where a lot of people mess up on meditation. And to be honest, I never actually done it 100%. I just give tasks to my brain to. And you also do yoga, don't you?
I am, yeah. I'm a straight white male yoga instructor. Very weird. Yeah, so
what did
people
you say?
think yoga's really relaxing.
What did you say?
I'm a straight white male yoga instructor.
Oh, okay.
It's rare. But people always think yoga's relaxing, and for beginners, it's not. You have to get good at yoga for it to be relaxing in any form. If you come to my Sunday class, you'll sweat. I was boring.
We did a 10-minute taster session, and we were just literally like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I can't believe I sweat.
It was so hard. Not just like the flexibility side of it, like holding ourselves in a position that we're just not used to makes you think how you actually have to be quite strong as well.
You do.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Especially core, glutes, pelvic floor, everything like that. Yeah.
I can't believe how much I sweat just but try to holding a position.
Yeah, I was at Brent.
And I know
So
Liam.
what made you get into doing yoga then? What was it? That
Weirdo.
What?
No, if you look at the baseline physical health and the components of physical fitness, there's stuff in there like balance, flexibility, kinesthetic awareness, which plays into balance, that can be covered, like completely just covered by yoga. Instead of having to stretch and then do balance training, increase proprioceptive enhancement and everything like that, I can cover all of that in yoga. And going beyond that, when you get good at it, like I'm not too bad now, it is quite relaxing. But again, it depends on the yoga you do. I tend to not practice the yoga that I teach because I want something different from what I'm doing to what I'm teaching.
Yeah, I also read somewhere that if you were looking to make to have the best sport in the world, there would either be bodybuilding, strength and conditioning, CrossFit, and then you have yoga, Pilates, and stuff. If you would be looking for the best thing that you can do to give you longevity, it would be yoga and Pilates, and none other the ones that we love so much. I truly believe on that because the strength that you need to acquire to do those positions and how much it takes from you, and then you're not even putting any pressure on your joints, on anything, and the most important thing, it teaches you how to breathe and through any movement. And but then again, trying to convince me to do a yoga class.
Mate, that's exactly. I will do strength training all the time, weight training, and the one thing I lack on is my mobility sometimes. And I can see it. I've been working on that with my squat, but it's like doing stretches and like what you said, like the balance training and yoga, and it is not something that I've ever done. But I know it's something I should start doing. Then.
And that's the thing, because a lot of people go to the gym and they lift weights, and a lot of people go for vanity. So they go to look good and something like that. But if you see the way people train, they don't go to feel good. You know, they might be fit and they might feel good, but that isn't their intention. And I think that is what I intend to go for. And there is a little bit of difference there.
So, Declan, for someone so going back to our topic that we were trying to aim here, for someone that is struggling during lockdown, and is not seeing any light at the end of the tunnel, and they don't know where to start, what would be your advice to tell them and to trying to push them out from this dark place that a lot of people are in? Because we are kind of lucky. We have people around us that we love, but a lot of people don't have. A lot of people might be living in apartments and living by themselves in rooms and stuff, and there's nothing that they can do. And what would be your advice to deal with all of this?
So the first thing would always be reach out. So even if there's a neighbour, or if you have literally no one around you, you live in the middle of nowhere and you have no one to talk to, call a helpline or something like that. Find a support system, because the thing that will hurt more people than anything isn't corona, it's loneliness. And as much as we can moan about boredom, that will kill more people than anything else during lockdown, other than obviously the virus. So reach out. I keep seeing these things on Instagram where people keep going, oh, you've got to learn something new, you've got to start a side hustle, stuff like that. And then other people say, no, you don't, it's a global pandemic. And I'm kind of on the fence about it. You're right, it is a global pandemic, and you shouldn't have to do anything that you don't want to. But we will never, probably in our lifetime at least, have the opportunity like this where we're doing nothing to get something new started. So if you're struggling a lot, think about these state changes, and state changes just means to do anything but what you're currently doing. So try and focus on learning something new. I mentioned on my Instagram the Pomodoro method. So that's where you put a set amount of time, normally 20 to 25 minutes, and you split it up with breaks of 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're struggling, but you've got something to do, break up the monotony of what you're doing. Even if it's going for a walk or doing one set of push-ups, it's going to make a difference. Try and eat well. These are logical things that we should have been doing before lockdown, and probably were, but now that we've changed environment, we've lost it. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the biggest factor in all of this. Environment. That's always going to change the way we think and feel. So if you're feeling bad and low, buy a houseplant, do something different, buy a poster and put it up, paint your walls, change your environment in some way, and that's going to drastically change your mood.
That's a good advice. Yeah, mate, I've been eating a lot of nachos, drinking a lot of beer, and these are things that I probably would not do before. Before I would eat I would cook, I would eat my chicken, my rice, some days vegetables, and now I was going beer every day, nachos, popcorn every night. When the other day I sit down and I start counting my calories, and I realized that at least 1,000 calories that I was ingesting every day had no nutritional value whatsoever to what I've been taking. So just taking that out, it would actually help me a lot.
Yeah,
but
and it's because your brain associates home with comfort.
Exactly.
So you eat comfort foods and things like that at home, where while you're at work, your brain doesn't think like that. So it will tend to follow a different routine. But because you're comfortable, you will do things that are comfortable.
Yeah, so true. Well, I don't know, Liam. What do you think? Let's go for a beer?
Mate, I went for a bad, like I said at the beginning of lockdown, I was drinking a lot and eating crap. Like, I don't even think I had a meal. It would just be packet of crisps and then sausage sandwich and then biscuits. It was just there was no meals. It was just constant snacking and then drinking. And since I've stopped doing that now and I'm enjoying my training again, even when it is from home, and like I said earlier, I've got myself in a proper routine, well, the best that I can anyway, mentally it's put me in a better place. And I think from tomorrow, I'm actually going to start taking my diet really seriously again, because it gives me something I can be in control with. Mm. So I generally like counting my calories and my macros. I generally enjoy doing that because I feel like it's something I'm in control over.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what, and I think right now there's not much I am in control over because of the situation we're in. So that's something that I can be. So I think I'm definitely going to go down that route hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to go and do a massive bulk shot if I'm allowed.
Yeah. It's all about...
chicken.
I think it's all about having a purpose at the end of the day, isn't it? Just have an aim, do it, plan another thing to do again, and it just keep on doing it. I think just living by the day, it's the worst thing that someone can do, and it's not feeling that you can control the situation you're in. It's very, it's disheartening. It's like you are a boat, and the ocean will take you wherever he wants. You have no control over it.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, Declan, and from me and Liam, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we know that you will get invited so many times, because I think
I enjoyed it.
I think we could have talked with you about yoga, about emotional, about training. You're very knowledgeable about your training as well. Commitment, you're a committed guy. And I think we'll invite you a lot of times to our podcast, and I wish you keep saying yes to us.
Always.
Okay, guys.
Thanks for coming, Declan.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much.